What I've learned is that we all have a story and we all have our struggles and we all have these things that we can overcome if we can learn to put the fear aside. And fear can look like so many different things. It can look like perfectionism. It can look like, I'm going to wait until this thing is perfect. I'm going to wait till I have the money in the bank account. I'm going to wait till my kids are 18. I'm going to wait until I have the perfect product before I put it out there, before I make this step into the unknown. Something has to be perfect. And that perfection, we think that's actually helping us when it's holding us back. Another way that we hold ourselves back through fear is thinking that what we have right now is good enough and it's never going to get any better. I know for me, I couldn't understand why I felt so ungrateful. I would look around and I had this beautiful home and we went on beautiful vacations and all the kids were healthy and all these things. And I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't happy. And so I internalized that instead of really listening to what my heart and my soul were trying to tell me. They weren't trying to tell me I was a bad person for not being grateful. They were just trying to tell me that there was another step, another thing out there that was meant for me, that was more aligned for me. And I had to take those voices that I thought were super negative and judgmental against myself and turn them into they're just little nudges, and I had to listen to them like a guidance system. Like, just like on our phones when we put in Google Maps, turn right here. And then if you don't turn right, it's like, all right, turn right here. And then it's recalculating, turn right here. That's how I had to start listening to those voices in my head. I had to listen to them as guidance, that they were trying to get me to the right place. And that with that guidance system that we have, there's no judgment. The only judgment comes from our heads because we think we know who we are and what we want and what that looks like to others. So, like I said, for me, I had the home. I wanted to look a specific way to the people around me, and I was willing to sacrifice my own needs and my own desires and wants in life so that I looked good to other people. And my guidance system was turn right, turn right, turn right. And it was like, this is not your destination. And switching that around to realizing, like, okay, so maybe what's going on in my heart and my mind, maybe I can figure this out and I can use the two together to get me in the right direction. And that's what I did. I had to understand that we just go through things in life and there's no right or wrong answer. And the people that we're so worried about that are going to judge us, they have their own things. They're doing their own thing. And if they're judging us, that's on them. That has nothing to do with us, me, doing hard things after 40. It really just means that people are going to judge us, but they're also not paying attention as much as we think. The third way that fear can kind of hinder us is through this idea that we are going to fail. So we've already covered perfectionism, we've covered judgment, and the third is fear of failure. That if we start something, whether it's a new job or it's a new relationship, or we are facing something as detrimental as an illness or a death, that somehow we are going to get rejected by society if we share our true selves and we share our true colors. Now, based on our human nature and our history as humans, yes, being in the tribe meant that we kind of had to keep the status quo, that fear of rejection would actually rejecting us from the group could mean death. Nowadays, that rejection of our friends, our family, our coworkers, it might still feel like death, but the reality is that rejection or or fear of failure, there's no such thing, because those are all, again, these are just judgments that we put on ourselves. And instead of saying, what if I fail at this? It's more like, what is the lesson in this? And how can I use this lesson to get me to the next level? So when we think of fear of failure, like, I'm not even going to start because I know this is stupid, and I know that I'm going to let people down, and I know that this isn't going to work. These are constant dialogues that go on in our heads, and especially over 40, because we have this judgment of, oh my gosh, I should have my shit together by now. You can change that in your head. And if you think about your source energy and you think about the love that you have for a child or a pet, you can turn that love into love of yourself. And instead of fear of failure, you can feel that cushion of comfort of knowing that there's no such thing. It's all just lessons learned. And the more lessons we learn, the more we learn about ourselves. And the more we learn about ourselves means that we come back to ourselves. And we come back to this nurturing, loving person that we want to be. And that's all we really want. We want joy and happiness in our life. But the only way to find joy and happiness is to find it in our hearts first and for ourselves first. So all this fear of change and this fear of failure, fear of judgment, all those are just voices in your head. And you can turn all of it around by meditation, by breathing, by grounding, by going out in nature, and changing the dialect to how you would speak to your child who maybe is learning to walk and then falls. You wouldn't tell a child, oh, that was stupid, don't do that again. We encourage children to do hard things, and we encourage children to learn new things. And we just have to remember that we are just children. We are all just our first time here. And the more things that we can do to figure out who we are, what we love, what our likes are, what our dislikes are, we're only going to be encouraging not only ourselves to grow, but others around us. So I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, and please comment on my YouTube channel. Thank you. Did it record?